My name is James Loughran of Loughran Brewing Stores. We're here on our site just outside of Agriland, Dundalk. We supply Irish brewers and distillers with a broad range of high quality ingredients to make really great beer and really great whiskey. You know, I remember a brewer telling me once, you can make bad beer from good ingredients, but you can't make good beer from bad ingredients. And I just remember being really influenced by that and realised that if we can get brewers the best range of ingredients possible, they can choose from that portfolio and hopefully make something that's complex, enjoyable, entertaining to drink and fun to share with friends and family. Like, this facility's great, we're very proud of it. Our facility in the UK is about twice the size and we carry an awful lot more, a broader range and more pallets and more hops in the UK, and that's definitely been referred to as a candy store more than once by a number of brewers. We tend to get excited and passionate about our products and think that we're unique and special. In the last 10 years in particular, we've had Brexit, we've had COVID, we've had the post-COVID inflation spike, we've had tariffs this year. We've had a significant change in the euro-sterling exchange rate post-Brexit. So there's been a lot of turbulence at a kind of a macroeconomic level, and that really has an impact for consumers, which in turn has an impact for brewers. So over the past 10 years, we've seen the pure number of breweries grow massively from 10 to 100. I don't have the exact data to hand. And brewery numbers increased pretty much every year up until last year, and since last year they started to decline. So we've had a number of closures of breweries over the last 12 months in Ireland, and that's really sad. It's a real sign that the tide has turned, that the days of frothy growth, shall we say, they're not quite there. The indication since these tariff conversations came along, we've seen a significant impact in the Irish distilling sector. Irish whiskey's got a pretty tough time ahead of it. It would be hoped by ourselves and the rest of the whiskey industry that other markets, which have been growing, will continue to take a significant volume of Irish whiskey. That's where most of the sales are going to come from. That's wonderful, and it's great that Irish whiskey's been able to develop many of those unusual export markets over the last 10 years. Hopefully, as those distilleries export into that market, Irish pot still whiskey becomes a drink that people enjoy, and that we're able to be part of the production cycle by putting some of those pot still wheat, rye, barley and grains into.
The site here is about 300 years old. It's an old flour mill, and it was owned by the Barton family at the time. So a lot of candle power and late nights. I researched till nearly death and really found the link that took us to the Barton family that left and went to France to set up a wine merchant at the time. And then they ended up in Bordeaux with owning a number of vineyards. So that family is the Barton family, and that vineyard today is B&G Wines of Barton and Goustier. So they're world famous and they're sold in 130 countries around the world. This link was all forgotten. We had no starting point. When we acquired the site, we were told the guys that used to be here went to France and set up a vineyard. Bumped into them in a trade show in America and introduced ourselves, and what they said was, I'm not sure it's right, but after shouting out all the names and all the links, they agreed with us, and then they brought us over to the chateau in Bordeaux, and then they gifted us 50 of their wine barrels to age our whiskey in. So at the minute, them barrels are sleeping away lovely with whiskey in them, and it's producing some fantastic whiskey. So the grain, we're working with Loughran's there in Dundalk, and it's grown within a 50-mile radius of us, and it's all got from them and processed here in the distillery. Gin was our first product, and what we like to see there is the gin equipment is it's quite compact. So the still up there is 500 litres, and we can turn around a batch of gin in about 6 hours. We just load it, we put our botanicals in, switch it on and monitor it for the 6 hours. What comes across is a very concentrated gin, and then we cut it back with water and it's ready for bottling. Whiskey is slightly different, where it takes about a week to produce and then minimum 3 years in the barrel. So I suppose the water is probably one of the backbones of it. We have 2 private wells on site, so it's limestone filtered water, which is very important to us. So we have our own private wells here. We bring that water up and we process it in different ways. We load the still with very mildly filtered water, and then when the gin's finished, or the whiskey, we put it through a very intense filtration system, and that's to stop any crystals forming in the finished product. The Irish gin then is we're growing our own junipers here on site, or juniper trees. We have planted about 100 of them maybe 9 years ago, and they're putting up berries there at the minute. And the goal is to harvest them juniper berries and some of the local botanicals in the area and create a very unique Irish gin. The big goal here is to have like our own wee botanical garden where we're going to plant in the hedgerows. So the site here is 4.5 acres, and we're going to incorporate into that hedgerow all the different local ingredients we can use in gins. So your different types of apple trees, they'll come into bloom at different times of year. We don't have to use an apple, we can use like a flower. So one apple mightn't work in gin, but the flower of that tree might. We can have blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, anything that will grow in Ireland, we're going to adapt it.